Hello, welcome to Chillin' Solo, where I play solo modes of board games so that you guys can see how they work and what they play like, and see that you can enjoy chilling solo with a board game. And for today's board game, we're going to be playing Wingspan. Now, Wingspan is a game about bird watching and ornithology, and in it we are trying to be the player who can attract the best birds into our wildlife preserve. So this is an engine building game, and before we get into the playthrough, I'm going to give an overview of the rules and how it works, and then explain a little bit on how the solo play works, and then we'll get into a playthrough after that. I've set up the board sort of as if I was playing midway through the game, just to show you how some things work while I'm explaining the rules. So first of all, we're going to have a little look at the cards themselves. So in this game, we're going to be playing cards down onto our player board to trigger different effects, score points, and various different things throughout the game. So we have a little look at one of these cards now. We can look at the layout and the different symbols on each of the cards. This card here, the white-breasted nuthatch. In the top left corner of every card, it tells us what habitat this bird can be part of. So if we look at our player board is divided into 3 different habitats. We first have the forest habitat at the top here, the grasslands in the middle, and the wetlands here at the bottom. If we look at our nuthatch, it shows us just the forest symbol in the top left card. So this bird can only belong in the forest habitat. So when we play this card, we're only allowed to play it into this top row. And then the same for all the other ones. Some will show multiple symbols. For example, this Mississippi kite that's already here on the board shows a grassland and a forest. So when you play that, you can choose which of the 2 to put it into. But that's what that symbol is for. Underneath that symbol then, we have different resources on there. And this is the resource cost you have to pay in order to play the card onto your board. So in the case of this white-breasted nuthatch, we have to play either a worm or a grain, and then we can play that onto our board. Underneath them then, there's a number on the left-hand side of the card with a feather next to it. This is the victory points that this card is worth. So in this case, the white-breasted nuthatch is worth 2 victory points. Under the victory points, we have a picture of a nest. Now each bird will come with a type of nest that they're able to lay eggs in. This can come into play for different reasons throughout the game, which will come apparent as we play through it. But each bird will have some sort of symbol on it. Some birds will have what's called a wild symbol, which looks like this one on the Atlantic penguin here, which is a star. Any bird with a star symbol where the nest would be means it can count as any nest for whatever reason we need it to. Underneath the nest then, there will be a number of egg symbols on there. This tells us how many eggs that this card will be able to hold throughout the game. And then at the bottom, there'll be some sort of power that bird is able to have. Now this is where the cards will vary as well. There are 3 different types of powers in the game. We have the brown bannered powers, which is what this white-breasted nuthatch has. These brown powers are activated whenever we take the action associated with the habitat that bird is currently in, which I'll get to in a little bit. So these will be activated a number of times throughout the game, depending on what actions we take. The second kind of action are white card actions. So this Atlantic puffin, for example, is a white one. These are always when played abilities. So when I play this puffin onto my board, I will immediately do that action, and then I will never do that action again. It's just a one-time thing. The final type of ability is a pink one, which we see on the bronze cowbird here. This is a once between turns ability. Now, when we play in a multiplayer game, this will trigger on other players' turns, depending on actions that they'll do on their turn. So this cowbird, for example, says that once in between turns, when another player takes the lay eggs action, this bird lays 1 egg on another bird with a particular nest. So while we have this bird on our board, in the multiplayer game, if another player takes the lay eggs action, then we're allowed to activate this power and do something for ourselves at the same time. This works slightly different for a solo mode, which I'll explain to when I get over to the solo rules of the game. So that's the makeup of the different bird cards. Obviously, there's just a general overview of how the bird cards work. There's a massive stack of bird cards. Each one will work a bit differently and have different things on it, but we can explain them as we play through the game. So on our turn, we can do one of 4 different actions. We start with a pool of action cubes here. We start with 8 action cubes in the game, and when it's our turn, we'll take 1 action cube and assign it to one of the 4 actions on the board and take that action. So the 4 actions are, first, we can play a bird. So when we play in a bird, we are always going to play it into the leftmost column of a particular habitat. So if I wanted to play this Wilson's snipe, if we look at what habitat it can be part of, it can only be part of the wetlands. So if I wanted to play that into the wetlands, I would take my cube, place it above the wetlands slot that I'm going to be playing it into, which is in this case the leftmost slot available, which is the leftmost on the bottom. I would then pay any cost associated with that card. In this case, it is just the cost for the food that he wants, so I would have to pay 1 worm. So I would take a worm from my supply, put it back into the main supply, and then I could just play that card straight into the leftmost slot. Then I will move this cube over to the left to say that my turn is complete. As we start filling up our board, the cost for birds will become more expensive. So, for example, now if I wanted to play this white-breasted nuthatch from my hand, the leftmost spot available in the forest section is this slot here. So this is where I would be playing the card. I would take the play bird action, put it above the slot where I'm playing the bird, and you notice there's an egg symbol above this column, meaning that I also have to pay 1 egg along with the cost of the food associated with that bird. So to play this white-breasted nuthatch, I would have to pay 1 egg, which I take from one of the birds on my player board that already have an egg on him. So I would remove this 1 egg, back to the supply. I would pay the cost of food, which is either a worm or a grain. So I pay the grain back to the supply, and then this bird can be placed into my board. And then I would move my cube over to the end to say I've completed my turn. And that's the player bird action. So that's what we do for that. The second action we can do is gain food from the bird feeder. So to take this action, we take our action cube and we put it in the leftmost empty slot of that habitat. So this action is associated with the forest habitat. So we place our cube in the leftmost empty slot of that habitat, and it tells us what we can do for this action. So in this case, we can take 2 dice from the bird feeder and get the food associated with those dice. So I could, for example, take this 1 dice, which says that I can take a grain or a worm, and I would take a worm. And then I could also take a fish. Remove the dice and take a fish. And you notice we don't take the dice for ourselves, we just remove the dice that we're taking from the bird feeder and then take the associated token from the supply. If at any point during your turn, the dice in the bird feeder all show exactly the same face, we are allowed to re-roll those dice. So, for example, if I was to take this action now again, I'm taking 2 dice. My first dice I will take the grain, taking a grain from the supply. Now, all the dice left in the bird feeder show rats. I don't particularly want a rat at this point, so I can choose to re-roll these now. So I will take all the dice that we took outside the bird feeder and the dice inside, and we re-roll them in this nice, lovely birdhouse dice tower that they supplied in the game. And then I can choose my second dice from these and say, yeah, I want that fish. So I will take that fish into my supply. And that's the action for gaining food. Now, every time we take an action that is associated to one of the 3 habitats, after we take that main action, we are then going to move our cube to the left and trigger every bird that has a brown when activated power on it as we go back in order from right to left. So in this case, after I've done the 2 dice, I move on to the Mississippi Kite, who has a when activated ability, which says, in this case, to roll all the dice that are not in the bird feeder, and if I roll a rat, I can gain a rat from the supply and I cash it on this card. So I would roll the dice not in the bird feeder. I didn't get a rat this time, but if I had, I would take a rat from the supply and just cash it on this card. And that will be worth points to me at the end of the game. Then I go to the next bird. This one doesn't have an ability, so I just go to the end and that's my turn finished. So that's the game food action and shows you sort of how the when activated brown powers work as well, which will always trigger every time we take an action associated with one of the habitats. The next action we can do is the lay eggs action. So for this, we would take our cube, put it on the rightmost slot, the leftmost empty slot of that habitat, and we take the action. So this, in this case, is telling us we can lay 3 eggs. So we would take 3 eggs and lay them on our birds. And we have to make sure when we're laying them on our birds that we are making note of how many eggs that bird can carry. So I've laid 3 eggs on these birds. So this bird now can only hold 2 eggs. So this bird is at maximum capacity for eggs. I can no longer lay eggs on that particular bird. Depending on what slot you're activating with the action as well, sometimes they give us a little bonus action to do along with it. So in this case, I lay the 3 eggs regardless. That is my main action. But I can also, if I wish, spend any resource, any food resource, to lay an extra egg. So I could spend one of my fish back to the supply just to lay an extra egg. I can't put it on this bird because he's full, so I'll put it on this one instead. That's the lay eggs action. And again, I would walk my cube back, activating any browns that I come across, which is not that one, not that one. So this one says, when I activate it, I can lay another egg on any bird. Now I'll lay an egg on this bird. And then that is the lay eggs action done. The final action you can do on your turn is the bottom action here in the wetlands is to draw bird cards. When we draw bird cards, again, we'll place our action cube in the leftmost empty slot of that particular habitat, and we do the action associated. In this case, we get to draw 1 card. Now, when we draw a card, we have the choice of either drawing one from the display here. There's always going to be 3 showing at the start of your turn. So I could take one of these. Let's take that one, for example. And then I could, if I wanted to, spend an egg to draw another card. So I could spend one of the eggs from one of my birds. It doesn't matter where they come from necessarily. You can always spend whatever egg you want. And I could draw another card. I could draw another one from the face-up supply. I decide I don't want any of these ones. Instead, I'm just going to draw a blind from the top of the deck, and that can come into my hand. The empty spaces don't get immediately refilled when you draw. They will instead get refilled at the end of your turn. So I've done this action now. I walk my cube back. When activated, all players get to draw from the deck. So everybody would get to draw, including myself. So I will draw another one from the deck. And then we walk back, and that's the end of the turn. Turn over, then we refill any empty spaces shown here. We'll flip that over like that. And they are the 4 actions that you do on your turn. You just keep going until we run out of cubes, until all our cubes have been spent for actions, and that indicates the end of the round. Now, the game lasts 4 rounds, and at the end of every round, there will be sort of a mini scoring phase where every round comes with a randomized end of round goal that we're trying to achieve, and whoever achieves the most of that particular goal will get the most points at the end of the round. So for example, in round 1 in this case, it is telling us that we want as many eggs in the grasslands area as we can. So at the end of the round, everyone would count the eggs that they have up in their grasslands area. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 eggs, and then depending on who has won the most, we will mark their position on the track, and they will score points at the end of the game depending on where they are on the track. So if I had the most eggs, I would take one of my action cubes, and that would permanently go on this board here, indicating that I had the most and that how many points I get at the end of the game. And that then depletes my action cubes for the next round. So as we progress through the game, we'll have less and less actions to use. And that's pretty much how you play Wingspan. At the end of the game, we're going to score points in various different ways. We're first of all going to score points, print the points printed on all of our bird cards that we've played onto our board. We are then also going to score for any bonus cards that we've collected through the game. We all start with 1 bonus card. The bonus cards look like this, and they'll come with some sort of special thing that we're trying to achieve to score more points. So in this case, we have the Historian card, and it tells us that we're going to get 2 points for every bird that are named after a person. So we need to find birds that have people's names in them, essentially. So for example, this bird that I've put in the wetlands down here is called Wilson's snipe. So that was going to be 2 points because it is named after Wilson. So that is, we're going to score points for any bonus cards that we've collected, which you are able to collect more throughout the game, possibly. We're then going to score points for all of the end of round goals, depending on where we finished in each round. Every egg that we have left over on our board is going to score a point each. Any food that we have cached on any birds, they are going to be a point each. And then also we have the opportunity sometimes to tuck cards. So for example, if we look at this red-winged blackbird, every time we activate this red-winged blackbird, we can tuck a card from your hand behind the bird. And if we do, we also get to lay an egg on that bird. So if this was in our in our board, for example, in our habitat there. When we activate that, we can tuck a card from our hand behind that bird there. And then we also get to lay an egg by doing so. And then at the end of the game, every card that is tucked behind any bird is worth a point. And then at the end of the game, whoever's got the most points is the winner. So let's have a little look at how solo mode works. So when it's out, we're just going to be going back and forth between us and sort of an automated player using these cards over here. Every time it's our turn, we're just going to be playing as normal as we would if we were playing a multiplayer game. Our turn works exactly the same. When it's the bot's turn or the automa's turn, we're going to flip over the top card of this deck, and it's going to tell us a different action that we're going to take for the automa. So the automa has this little card here, which is sort of a round indicator telling us which action it's going to take on the card, depending on which round it is. So we're going to have it this way around for round 1, so that when we flip over a card, we lay it next to that card, and then it's pointing at then which action from that card it's going to take. Well, in this case, there's only one action on the card, but for example, if we were to flip over another one, so there's 2 actions on this card, but because we're in round 1, we're going to be taking that top action there. And depending on what the action is, different things will happen. So let's have a little look at what kind of actions that the automa can take. So we've got a little reference card here that shows us all the different kind of actions they can take. So the first one at the top here is that if this symbol is revealed with a face down card, they are going to discard all 3 cards from the bird tray. So they would discard all 3 of those cards from the bird tray. Then the automa draws and keeps 1 from the deck, and they keep it face down in a scoring pile there. And I'll explain what this does in a few minutes. The next action is a card showing a bird. In this case, so let's refill this supply here. In this case, they're going to take all the birds that match their bonus card. So we're going to randomly deal the automa a bonus card to start the game with. For this example, they've got the platform builder, so they are going to want birds that have platform nests. So we're going to take all birds from the display that match that. So we look to see if any of these birds have platform nests. These ones in this case do not. If they did, they would take all of them. Let's say these 2 were platform nests, for example. They would take all of them, and they would keep only the one that had the highest value points, keep it face up for scoring at the end of the game, and the other one gets discarded. If they don't have anything on the supply that matches their bonus card, then they're just going to take a card from the top of the deck and keep it face down in front of them, like that. The next action they can take is laying eggs. So if we ever see an egg symbol on their card, we're simply just going to take an egg from the supply, and we're going to give it to them over here. And every egg that they have at the end of the game is going to be worth points for them as well. Very simple. The next action here is to do with food. So what they're going to do is they're going to look at the bird feeder and take out all of the dice matching the leftmost symbol that is available in the bird feeder. So on the example in this card here, it first of all is going to look for rats, and it's going to remove all the rats from the bird feeder. So in this case, there is a rat there, and it'll remove that rat. If there wasn't, then we'll just keep going along the line until it finds a food or a die face that matches something in the bird feeder. So if we were to look at it again, there's no rats. It moves on to fish, there's no fish. It moves on to the berries, there's no berries. Then it moves on to the grain/worm. There is 1 grain/worm in the feeder, so it would remove that die. That's that action there. The next action is if it shows a cube here, then it's going to place one of the action cubes on the current end of round goal. So it's going to take one of its action cubes, and this is the only thing that the action cubes are going to be used for the automa, and we'll put it on the end of round goal matching the round that we're in. So we're in round 1, it's going to put that there. And the point of this is that this helps us calculate what they are doing towards the end of round goal. So again, we have a little reference card here showing how we're going to calculate the automa's end of round goals. So for example, in this round 1, we're looking for eggs in the grassland. And we look at how that affects scoring for the automa. So in this case, in the second row here is telling us that if the goal is asking for eggs in a particular habitat, and the number on the right hand side tells us the base value for the automa for this goal. So essentially the automa is always going to have at least one egg towards this end of round goal, sorry. It's going to have one egg plus one for every cube that is accumulated by the end of the round. So if the round was to end here, he would have 2 eggs towards this end of round goal. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would win this at the end of the round, and he would take second place. And that's what happens if we get a cube showing up on an action card. If we were to have a cube with an X through it, then we would remove one of the cubes from the end of round goals. So we can always sort of keep track of how the automa is doing toward the end of round goals, depending on how many cubes he has next to that end of round goal. And then the last thing that comes up is sometimes an action will have this activate all pink powers next to it. And when we see that, that is when we get to activate any birds that we have that have pink powers on our board. Because we don't have other players that will activate them on a particular time, then it's just whenever those symbols show up on the automa's cards, that's when we get to activate our pink abilities. And we just keep going with that for the automa. Every time we take a turn, we flip over the next card for them, they take a turn, and then we keep going back and forth until we've both taken an equal number of turns for that round. We'll assess the end of round goals, and we'll keep going until all 4 rounds are complete. At the end of the game, the automa will score points based on how many eggs they have. So every egg they have collected by the end of the game is going to score a point. Every bird that they have face up in a scoring pile is going to score the victory points printed on that bird. They're going to score points for where they finish on the end of round goals. And then they're also going to score points for their face down birds, depending on how difficult we want to make the game. So for today's game, we're going to be playing the standard mode. And by playing the standard mode, each of the face down cards is going to be worth 4 points for the automa at the end of the game. If we were to play easy, they'd be worth 3 points each, or if we wanted to play hard, they'd be worth 5 points each. But we're just going to go with normal, because I'm not confident I'm going to do well in it anyway. So let's see how that goes. And I believe that's everything that we need to know before we get started on a game. Any of the rules that may pop up throughout the gameplay, I'll explain as they come. But I'm just going to reset all this now, get ready to start the game, and I'll be back with you in just a second. So see you in a minute. Hello and welcome back to the table. And I've reset everything now. I'm ready for a playthrough of Wingspan. So we've reshuffled the automa's deck, given him a brand new bonus card. So his bonus card for this game is he is going to look for birds that can only live in forests. So if any of them show up on the display, he's going to try and get those. We've reset the end of round goals. So in round 1, we're looking for birds that are in our water habitat. So whoever has the most birds in their water habitat will get the most points for that. I've re-rolled all the dice for the bird feeder, and I've dealt myself starting hand and resources. So at the start of the game, we are dealt a hand of 5 cards. We can keep any number of these cards, but for every card that we keep, we have to discard one of our resources here. So if we kept all 5 of our birds, we'd have to get rid of all 5 of our resources. So we don't necessarily want to do that, depending on what kind of birds we want to play. So we're going to have a quick look through these and see what we want to play. I think I want to keep this turkey vulture. So this turkey vulture can live in any habitat, and it doesn't cost any food to play. So we can get him out straight away, and he comes with a nice ability, which whenever the pink ability shows up on the automa cards, we're going to get food from the bird feeder. So that can be quite nice. We'll keep that one. And considering we also want to get birds in the water for the first round, it might be worth keeping a couple of them. So we've got this one as well, the house finch, who can live in the water. So we'll keep that, and I think we'll stick with that. We'll discard these 3. And we're going to keep 2 birds, so we're going to get rid of 2 food. Now, the turkey vulture doesn't need any food. The house finch wants a grain and a berry, so we're going to keep the grain and the berry, and we're just going to get rid of 2 other ones. Let's get rid of a rat and a worm. So that's our starting resources and cards. We are then also dealt 2 bonus cards, and we're going to choose which one we want to keep. So the two we've been dealt are the large bird specialist, which says that if we're looking for birds with wingspans over 65 centimeters. And depending on how many we have at the end of the game, we're going to score a different number of points. So I have one in my hand that was already over 65, and I can see another one out on the display that is like that as well. So I might keep that one. The other one we have is the fishery manager, and we're looking for birds that eat fish. Not only fish, just as long as they have a fish printed on their icons for food, then they'll score for us. So we don't have any in our hand, and there is this one that has fish out in the display. But I think I'm going to go for the large bird specialist. Let's give that one a go. So we're going to look for big birds and try and get them into our sanctuary. We'll keep that down here as a reminder. We're looking for birds with wingspans over 65 centimeters. All the wingspans are printed in the bottom right of the picture, telling us how big they are. Okay, so in a solo game, we will always take the first turn every round. In a multiplayer game, every round the first player is going to pass to other players, but in a solo game, it's always going to be us. So we're going to take the first turn, and for our first action, we're going to take the play a bird action, and we're going to play this turkey vulture. And there's no cost for eggs to play in this first column, and this has a no food cost, so we're just going to play that straight there, and that is our first turn done. Now we go over to the Automa. We're going to flip the top card of their deck and see what they have. So for round one, the top action, they're going to be looking for a bird matching their bonus card. So they want a bird that can only live in the forest. There are no birds in the display that can only live in forest, because this one can live in forest or grasslands. So in that case, they're just going to take the top card of the deck and keep it as a face down scoring. So that's 4 points for them. And that's their turn done. Back to us, we're going to take another turn. I think we want to play this guy into the wetlands area to try and help us towards the end of round goal. Now, if we look at the end of round goal for the Automa, the top one here tells us how he's going to score birds in a particular habitat. So for birds in wetlands, he's got a base score of 0. So right now, he's got no birds in his wetlands. We've got one, so we're currently winning, but obviously throughout the round, he may be able to get more. So let's just try and keep in front on that. So we're going, we would like to play a bird in here, but this column costs us 1 egg to be able to play a bird into. So we're going to need to get some more eggs. So we'll take the lay eggs action, placing a cube there on the leftmost empty slot. We get to lay 2 eggs. However, our turkey vulture can only hold 1 egg. So we're just going to place the 1 egg on there and take that action. Not the most efficient of turns, but hey ho. That's the way it goes. Over to the Automa. We'll flip their card over. He is going to get an egg. So we'll take an egg from the supply and just give it to him there as the scoring egg. Keep it over there. And then he would, if he had any cubes next to the end of round goals, he would remove one, but there is none there to remove. So back to us. Now we're going to play a bird. So we'll go back up to the top here. We're playing into this column. It's going to cost us 1 egg. We'll remove that egg from our turkey vulture. And the bird we're playing is the house finch, and that's going to cost us a berry and a grain. Play back in there, and that goes on to there. And that's our action done there. Back to the Automa. Let's see what he's going to do next. So he is taking food. So he, first of all, wants to take all of the rats, if there are rats. There are no rats available. Then we go to fish. There's no fish. Then we go to berries. There's no berries. Then we go to the either or between grain and worms. There's one of those. So one of those gets removed. Then he is going to add a cube to the end of round goals. We're going to take one of his cubes, put it next to there to mark that he has got an extra one towards that. Okay, now it's back to us. We have no cards. So let's get some cards. We're going to take the play draw cards action. We get to draw 2 cards, and we can, as I said before, we can take from the display or from the top of the deck. So we're going to take this snowy egret because, again, he's a big bird with a high wingspan and he can go into the water. We also may want to start looking ahead to the goals for the next few rounds. So in round 2, we want birds that have bowl nests and also have at least one egg in them. We already have one bowl nest bird out with a house finch. So we're in sort of good shape there. So for our second bird, we can take either one of these, or we can go from the top of the deck. But I think we want to take the cedar waxwing because they also have a bowl nest, which will help us towards round 2. But also round 4, we want birds in our grasslands, and we can put this into the grasslands as well. So that might not be a bad idea. So we'll take those 2 cards. Although actually, let me put that back for now and just say I'm going to take this one, as you'll see now in a second. Because what I want to do is then go to my house finch. Because after we do the action, we walk back and activate all the brown abilities. This brown ability says that I can tuck a card from my hand behind this bird, and if I do, I get to draw another card. So I'm going to tuck that bird that I just pulled from there that I don't really want, tuck it behind there, which is going to be worth a point, and then if I do, I get to draw a card, and I will take that bird that I actually do want. And then we go back, no brown power there, and that is the end of our turn. So we'll refill the display. And now we go back over to the Automa. Flip the card for his turn. Now he is going to take top of the deck card for scoring. So before he does that, he always clears out the display. So discards all 3 of those. Then he takes the top card into his face down pile for scoring. Then we're going to refill that for the end of his turn. And also he's going to remove a cube from his end round goal. So in a good place there for the end of round 1, because we've got 2 birds now and he's got 0 as stands. Okay, so we've got these birds that we can play. We've got the food that we can play our snowy egret, but we don't have any eggs, so let's go and do some more laying eggs actions. So we're going to go here to lay 2 eggs, and we're going to lay them both on the house finch. We want eggs on the house finch when it comes to the end of round 2, so may as well start collecting them there just in case. And then we move back, and that's that turn done. The Automa then, we'll flip the card. He is going to get another egg. So we'll just take another egg and put it over here for scoring. Okay, back to us. Now we have the food and the eggs. We can play another another bird into our array. So we're going to take the play birds action. We're playing into this column here. So it's going to cost us 1 egg, which we'll take off the house finch. And we want to play our snowy egret, which costs either a worm or a fish. So we'll pay the fish and play that into there. And that is our turn done. Move our cube over. Then we'll go over to the Automa. We'll flip over. He's looking for food again. So first of all, he wants rats. There are no rats. He wants fish. There are no fish. He wants berries. There are no berries. He wants the split one. There are no split ones. So then he's going to take the worms. So all of the worms come out of there. And then we also get to activate our pink abilities. So we'll go to our turkey villager. He says that we get to gain 1 die from the bird feeder. Now, because we're gaining a die, we can choose to either take the die, or because they are shown in the same face, we can re-roll them first, which I think is what we're going to do, because our cedar waxwing, which is the only bird we've got in our hand, wants berries, and we don't have any berries there, so we're going to pick up all the dice and re-roll them. We rolled 1 berry, so we'll take that berry for our action there, and that'll be that. And that's the Automa's turn done. So back to us. We're just going to go up here and take some food. So we're going to take a rat out of there and put that into our supply, and that's our action done there. Now the other thing to be aware of, which is why I'm collecting other supplies, is that if we look on our player board here next to the player bird action, there's a little symbology there that says we can spend any 2 resources we want to convert into any other resource. So I'm going to start collecting other resources, because even though I want berries, there's no berries for me to get. So if I can get 2 of any other resources, I can substitute them for 1 berry if I wanted to. So over to the Automa again. We're going to flip his card, and he's after food again. So he wants the split dice. There are no split die. Then he wants the worm. There are no worms. Then he wants the grain. So he's going to take all the grain out of the bird feeder there. And then we again get to activate our pink ability. So we're going to activate the turkey vulture. Again, we're after berries. There are none. So we're just going to re-roll that because all dice are showing the same face. We'll roll up there. There we go. And we'll take another berry out of there and give us another berry token. Lovely. Now, our last action, let's play this bird, right? Why not? We're going to play this bird into this column. So no egg cost. It's just going to cost us the 2 berries for the food he wants. We'll pay those 1, 2 berries, and that is going to go into there. And that has now helped us towards end of round goal 2 with another bowl nest. We just need to lay eggs in them for that, and birds in the grasslands for end of round 4. And that is that action complete. Then we'll go over to the Automa for his final turn of the round. He is going to take a face down scoring card, so he's going to get rid of all 3 of these from the display. He's going to take a face down scoring card. We're going to refill the display with these birds, and then he's also going to add a cube to the end of round scoring. And that is the end of the round. So at the end of the round, we're going to clear all our cubes off our action board and come back to our supply. We're then going to look at the end of round goals to see who wins. So, looking for birds in the wetlands. He has a base of 0 plus 1 for his cube there, so he has 1 bird. We have 3 birds in our wetlands, so we win that. We take one of our cubes, put it on the first place spot, and he gets second place. We then also have to refresh the display, so we'll discard all of the birds that are in the display and bring out 3 new ones. Okay, so a new round. On to round 2. We're going to flip this card over to round 2 now, so all his starting values are slightly different. So in this case, we're looking for, in end of round 2, we're looking for birds that have a bowl nest that have at least 1 egg laid in them. So it doesn't matter how many eggs they have on that card. It's just as long as they have at least 1, they're going to contribute towards the end of this round, this end of round goal. So in his case, birds with a particular nest with an egg in them, he's got a base value of 1. So right now, we're currently tied. I have 1 down here with a housefinch, and he has 1 base. We're then going to reshuffle his Automa deck, and we're going to flip around this card so we can mark now that round 2 actions are going to be pointed out by this little symbol. We'll reshuffle his deck, and we're good to go. Okay. Right. So, no cards in hand. We want bowl nests. We also want to think about the nest coming up for the next round, which are platform nests. We have 1 with our snowy egret, so that's not too bad. There's a couple of bowl nests out in the display. I would prefer if they were bigger birds, but unfortunately they are not. So we're going to take the draw bird cards action. So we get to draw 2 cards. We're going to draw this one. It's not one that we really want, but we're going to use it to tuck behind a housefinch when we activate that. We're going to draw that one. I'm going to draw this hummingbird, which I think will be good for us. We can put it into our grasslands, and its ability says that we get to, when we activate it, we get to get dice from the bird feeder. So a good way of getting food while we're taking a different action, I think would be nice. We could spend an egg for another card. I don't think we want to. We're going to keep that egg there. We've only got the 1. So we're going to start walking back now. We activate our snowy egret. And when activated, we get to roll all the dice not in the bird feeder. And if we roll a fish, we get to take a fish. Now, it would be nice if there were more dice not in the bird feeder, but let's see how we get on. Oh, I thought we had it then. No, it's a rat. That's unfortunate. Never mind. Nothing for that. And we go on to our housefinch. We can tuck a card from our hand behind this bird. So we're going to tuck this one behind it there. And if we do, we get to draw another one. I think we want this one, do we? It's expensive. Do we want that one, or do we just go random from the top of the deck? It's another bowl. But I'm going to have 3 bowl birds out. I don't think we necessarily need another one. Maybe we'll just go from the top of the deck. Hopefully we'll find either a bigger bird or maybe a bird with a platform nest. Now we found another bowl, so that's fine as well. Happy with that. And then we carry on going back. No bird power there. And that's the end of our turn. Right, over to the Automa for round 2. Oh, actually, before we go into here, we're going to quickly have a look. At the end of every round, we're going to remove one specific card from their deck. So this one only has an action for round 1 on it. So we're going to remove that from the deck there, and we'll quickly reshuffle their deck. Okay, right. So, first action for round 2. They are taking a face down bird card. Oh, forgot to refill this. So we're going to refill this, and then they're immediately going to discard all of those. There's some nice ones there for me, but never mind. They're going to take the top card as a face down card, and then reveal a new set. There we go. There's another large bird there for me to get. Oh, well, this one is also above 65 centimeters. There's 2 there I could possibly pick up. Do I just want to get those now while they're there? Maybe. You know what? I do. I think I do. Let's take the draw bird cards action again. So I'm going to draw this fish crow because I think he's really good. He's a platform nest, which will help towards round 3. I could put him anywhere I wanted. So yeah, that's a great card to have there. And then I'm also just going to take the sparrow and use him to tuck for the house finch. So I'm going to go back now. Snowy egret, let's roll. Let's get a fish this time, please. Yes, I got a fish. Lovely. So now I get to gain a fish from the supply and cash it on this card. And that's a point to the end of the game. I'll go back to a house finch. We're going to tuck this card behind it. And I get to draw a card because of that. So let's draw again from the... Oh, this is another big one. Yeah, let's take this guy. He's got high wingspan. And then all the way back to the end of our turn. Right, Automa's next turn. He's taking food. So, first of all, he wants all the berries. And there are berries in the bird feeder, so he's going to take that one. Then we get to activate all our pink powers. So we again get to take a die from the bird feeder. What do we want? Do we want fish? There's no fish there, really. So, we want a few grains for this guy. So let's take a grain out of there, and that's that. Okay, back to us now. I think we are going to take the play a bird action. So we're going to play a bird into this column. Oh, forgot to refill this again. Let's refill that while we're here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to take the play a bird action. We're going to play into this second column here. We want to play our Anna's hummingbird. So it's going to cost us 1 egg. We'll get rid of our final egg there. And this is any resource we can pay for this bird. So we're going to pay our rat because we don't need that for anything else. And that can go into there. And that's that action done with. Over to them. We'll flip their card. They're taking another face down birder. So they're going to get rid of all the birds in the supply. Oh, sorry, take a bird as a face down card and then refill. And then they're going to add a cube to the end of round goals. So they are currently now at 2 birds with bowl nests with eggs, and we are currently at 0 because none of our bowl nests have eggs in them. So for our next action, we're going to take the lay eggs action and sort that out. So we're going to get to lay 3 eggs. We're going to put 1 on this house finch that's got a bowl. We're going to do the hummingbird who also has a bowl, and the waxwing who also has a bowl there. And we're going to go backwards, and we get to activate our hummingbird. Each player can gain a food from the bird feeder. We want a couple of grains, so we'll take that other grain out of there. And it says each other player, so in a multiplayer game, all the other players would also get to do this action, but in a solo game, the Automa doesn't do anything in regards to these kind of actions. Any actions I do that affect him just do nothing. Then I'm going to the cedar waxwing. I can tuck a bird from my hand to get a berry. Do I want to? I don't know if I do. I don't think I do. So let's not do that. We're not going to do that action. All these brown actions are always optional. You don't have to do any of them if you don't want to. So that's our turn. Over to the Automa. They are going to take a bird corresponding to their bonus card. So they want a bird, again, that can only live in forest. There are no birds there that can only live in forest. So they're just going to take one from the top of the deck as a face down scoring. And then they're going to add another cube to the end of round goal. So they're on 3 birds, and we're on 3 birds. We're at a tie right now. We do have one more bowl nest card in our hand. We just need a bit more food for it to get them out, which we should be able to do. So for our next action, we are going to lay some more eggs and hopefully find the dice that we want from the bird feeder. Yeah, we're going to go take the lay eggs action. I'm going to lay some more eggs. We'll make sure we'll put some on the platform in preparation for next round as well. So that's 3 eggs. Then we're going to go back here. We get to gain a dice from the bird feeder. We don't want a rat, and that's the only dice showing, so we get to re-roll them. We're hoping for a worm, right? Yeah, we want a worm. Let's roll them up. There we go. We found some worms. Lots of worms. So I'll take one of these and get a worm. Then we're going to go back. We can chuck a card for a berry. Again, we're not going to do that. We want the cards in our hand. So that is our turn done. Over to the Automa. He's going to lay 2 eggs. So we get 2 eggs from here and put them over there with the rest of his eggs. 1 and 2. Okay. Move them over a little bit. Okay. And then he's going to remove a cube from end of round goal, so that's good for us. So he's now only got 2 birds towards the end of round goal, and we still got 3, and we're going to get a 4th now. So we're going to, for our action, play another bird, and we want to play this painted bunting, so it's going to cost us an egg, which we'll take off here, and he needs 1 worm and 2 grain, and he gets to go in there. Now, this has got a white ability, so it's a when played ability, so I get to do this now and only now. I can draw 2 new bonus cards and keep one of them. So we're going to get 2 new bonus cards from this deck, and we're going to keep one. So we've got the Prairie Manager, which is, we're going to get points for birds that can only live in the grasslands. We've got 1 bird towards that right now. So we could possibly get at least another one, which is all we would need to start scoring it. Or we can have birds that have at least 4 eggs laid on them. Now, we've only got 2 birds that could possibly have 4 eggs laid on them, so that might not be the way to go. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of Breeding Manager. I'm going to play I'm going to have the Prairie Manager. So that's our second bonus card for the end of the round. So if we can just find another bird that can only live in grasslands, we can chuck them in there, and that will score for us. Okay. So that's that done. We've played our bird. That's our action finished. Now on to the Automa. They are going to lay some more eggs. So 2 more eggs for them. 1 and 2. And they get to add another cube for their end round scoring. So we're at 3, they're at 3. So we want to lay eggs now to bump up this scoring for us. So we get to lay an egg on this last bowl there. And let's just lay an egg on everything. And so whoever's got an egg, and then a 3rd one can go there. No action to activate there. We're going to gain a food from the bird feeder. We want fish. All these guys want fish. So let's take that fish out of there. Claim that fish for us. And then go back to the Cedar Waxwing. We don't want to tuck a card, so we'll just go and finish. Final turn for the Automa. Round 2, he wants one of his bonus round birds. Birds that can only live in forest. Again, there are none, so he's just going to take the top card as a face down scorer. And that's the end of round 2. So let's clean up the end. So we get to remove all of our cubes from our player board back to our supply. Then we're going to check the end of round goals. So birds with bowl nests with eggs laid in them. The Automa has a base of 1 plus 2 there for 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 I win round 2. So I'll take a cube, put it on there, take one of his cubes onto second, he can get this cube back into his supply. And that's that. Then we're going to clear out the supply here, refresh it with some new ones. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go to the Automa, go to his deck and remove the card that we needed to remove for the end of round 2 because it has no round 3 or 4 actions on them. That can go over there. We'll reshuffle his deck. We're going to flip this card over so that now we are going to be, it's going to show us the actions for round 3. There's him ready to go. And that's everything. So round 3, we're looking for birds with platform nests. We have one right now. For the Automa, let's change this to round 3. The Automa for platform nest, he's starting with a base of 2. So we need to catch up a bit there if we can. There's another platform bird out there. And I got another one in my hand. So we should be good to go, I think, for that. So let's start. Let's start with drawing some cards. We want this one. We're also going to take, if we get to draw 2, we're also going to take one of these as well. We don't really need him, but 1 we're going to take it behind the house finish, and 2, actually we'll take this 7.1 because this is a bird that corresponds to their bonus card. So if I leave this in the display, he's likely going to take that at some point and score 7 points. I don't want him to do that, so I'll take that instead. I'm not going to draw an extra card with an egg. So we're going to go to the Snowy Egret, and we get to roll all the dice not in the bird feeder. We need to roll at least 1 fish. We did roll another fish there, lovely. Let's take a fish from the supply, cash it on our egret. And we're going to go back, tuck a card from our hand. We're going to tuck the warbler that we just took from the display under our finch. We get to draw another card. Let's draw one from the deck, why not? Oh, lovely, we've drawn another large, actually is not large enough, 61 centimeters, we need 65 centimeters, so he's no good to us. But that's okay. And we go back, nothing to do there, that's the end of our action. Right, over to the Automa for round 3. He wants a face down bird. Oh, let's refill this again. We refill that, then he's going to clear it out, take 1 face down and refill. There we go. Okay, so we need some more food. We need some more food. So let's, if I go here, I get 1 dice of food, but if I go to the lay eggs action, I still get 1 dice of food worth there, so I may as well take the lay eggs action and get more eggs onto the board, right? So I'm going to go here, get 3 eggs. I'll put 1 there, 1 there, and another 1 there. That's our 3 eggs. Nothing to do with there. We're going to go back again. Each player gets to gain a die from the bird feeder. I'm going to take this worm, because then this can get re-rolled next time. I could tuck a card as well if I wanted to. I might do. Oh, actually, maybe not. No, let's keep them for now. And that's our turn done. So over to the Automa. He wants to get food. So before he takes food, we do check the bird feeder, and because they're showing the same die face, we are going to re-roll before he takes food. The Automa will always do that if possible. So we'll re-roll the dice. Okay, then he wants to take all the fish. There are no fish. Then he wants to take all the rats. There is a rat there, which is unfortunate because we have a bird here who needs rats, and I wanted that. But never mind. We get to now activate our pink abilities, so we get to take another die from the bird feeder. We want fish. There's no fish there, so we can just take anything really. Let's just take a berry, because why not? We'll take a berry from there. Okay, so for our next turn, we're going to play another bird, I think. We don't necessarily need to play them into, so we want to play our fish crow, I think. And he can be played into any habitat. So we are going to take the action here. I'm going to play him into this column. It's going to cost us 2 eggs, which we'll pay from here. And he is going into this spot, which costs us a fish and anything. So we'll pay a fish and we'll pay a berry. And that's the fish crow in. So he's another platform nest, which is helping us towards that. And he's also another one into our round 4. So that is that. And that's our turn done. Over to the Automa. His next action is gaining food again. So he wants to take all the berries. There are no berries. Fish, no fish. Rats, no rats. Then he wants to take the split dice. So he's going to take both of these out of there. And then we get to activate our pink powers. So we get to take a dice from the bird feeder. We don't want grain. We ideally want fish or rats. Ideally rats, but fish will do as well if we get fish. So let's re-roll them because all the dice show in the same face. Come on. Let's go. We got fish. That's fine, we'll take a fish. For that's that done. Now it's back to us. We're going to take the layer eggs action. We now get to lay 4 eggs. As you can see, I'm sure you've picked up on it. The more birds you play into a habitat, the more powerful that particular action becomes. So we're going to lay 4 eggs. We're going to lay 2 onto the crow. We're going to put another one onto there, and we'll put another one on them again. Then we're going to work our way back. The crow says when activated, we discard 1 egg from any of our other birds, so not the crow. So let's discard 1 from the bunting. And by doing so, we get to gain any 1 food from the supply. So it doesn't matter what's in the bird feeder, we can gain any food we want. So let's take a rat that we want. Nothing for this bird. Hummingbird, we get to gain 1 from the supply. We're going to gain another fish, not the supply, sorry, the bird feeder. We're going to gain another fish there. Then we can tuck a card to get a berry. Don't think we're going to do that. Actually, we might tuck this one. I don't think I'm going to play this one. It's not big enough to score our bonus card. It does give us a wild nest, but I don't think we necessarily need that. Although we are tying with him right now because he's got a base of 2, so maybe we do want this one. And hopefully we'll compete for that end of round goal. Yeah, let's keep him. He's worth 5 points as well, so let's keep him. We're not going to do that. That's the end of our turn. Over to the Automa. He is going to take a bird associated to his bonus action. Birds that can only live in forest. There is one here. He's going to take all that associate with that. It's just the one. He takes that and puts it into a face-up scoring pile there. And we're going to refill this. And also he's going to add a cube to his end round the goal scoring. So that's not great for us. But let's see if we can at least match him, because that's the best we can do at this point, unless he removes cubes. But we're going to go play a bird into this column. It's going to cost us 2 eggs. So we'll take 1 from there, 1 from there. And we want to play our Clark's Grebe, which is going to cost us 1 fish. And that is going to go into that slot. Okay. That's the end of our turn. Over to the Automa. There we go. That's kind of what we wanted to see. But he's getting 3 eggs. We've got 1, 2, and 3 eggs. But then he's going to remove a cube from the end of round goal scoring, which is good news for us. Because now we're going to take the lay eggs action. We're going to lay 4 eggs. 1, 2. We're going to do this geese as well. 3. Grebe, sorry, not geese. 4. Then we're going to do the fish crow. We can discard 1 egg from any of our other birds to get something from the supply. We'll discard an egg there, and we're going to take another rat from the supply. Then we're going back here. Each player gains a food from the bird feeder. Let's get a berry out of there. Why not? And then we can take a card, but we're not going to. That is the end of that. That's our last action. So now over to the Automa for his final action. He is going to again take a bird associated with this. There are no birds that only live in forests, so he's going to take from the top there, and he's going to add another cube back to the end of round goal scoring. And that is the end of round 3. So we get all of our action cubes back. We'll go to the end of round goal scoring. So birds with platform nests with eggs in them. He has a base value for round 3, has a base value of 2 plus the 1 cube for 3, and we have 1, 2, 3 as well. So it's a tie. In case of a tie, we both get first place points. Okay, then we're going to discard the display and refill it with new cards. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to reset. So this is the card that needs to come out for the end of round 3. That's going to leave their deck, and we're going to reshuffle it. We'll flip this around, so we're looking at round 4 now. And we're going to shuffle up his deck. And we're going to finally flip this card over for round 4. So we're looking for birds in the grasslands. He has got a base of, birds in grasslands, a base of 3. We've got 4 right now. We're going to get a 5th by the end of the round, so we're going to get first place at least, whether it be on our own or tied, so we're good there. Right, start of the final round then. So let's start off by playing a bird into this final column. It's going to cost us 2 eggs, which we'll play from these. And we want to play our peregrine falcon, costs 2 rats. 1, 2, and he's going in there. Now we've filled up our grassland section, so we've got the end of round goal scoring tied up there for us. Right, over to the Automa for round 4. He is going to lay eggs, so he's getting 3 eggs. 1, 2, and 3 eggs. And he's going to add a cube to the end of round goal, which is fine by us. Right, let's have a look at our goals. We've not completed this one in the end. Didn't really think about it after I picked it up. But that's useless. Probably should have taken the other one, but never mind. So birds with 65 centimeter wingspans. We've got, how many of them in a minute? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're at 4. If we can get to 6 birds, we could get 6 points. I've got 1 in my hand. It'll take us to 5. So it's possible. Let's see what we can do. We've done that action. This is our second action now. Let's get some bird cards. Hopefully we can find that last big winged bird. So we get to draw 3 cards. We don't necessarily want any of these. We're just going to draw all 3 of them from the top of the deck. 1, 2, 3. Did we find any large birds? No, we didn't. So we're going to walk back here. I get to draw another card. If I do, I have to discard a card at the end of the turn. So let's draw another one. There we go. We found a better one there for us. Now we go to our snowy egret. We can roll all the dice not in the bird feeder. Try and find some fish. Yes, we roll 2 fish. Even though we roll 2 fish, we still only cash 1 fish on the card. Then we go to our house finch. We're going to tuck a card. So let's tuck any one of these, as long as we don't really, I'm not going to play any of these now. We'll tuck that under there. We get to draw another one. So let's draw another one from the top of the deck. Okay, nothing there, and that's the end of our turn. So over to the Automa. They are going to take a face down card. So clear out the display, takes a face down, and then we refill the display. And then he's also going to remove a cube from his end round scoring. Okay, so let's play one of our birds. We're going to play the black skimmer, I think. Yeah, he's worth 6 points, he's worth 5 points. Yeah, we're going to play the black skimmer. So we're going to play the bird action here. He's going to come in here, it's going to cost us 2 eggs. 1, 2. And then 2 fish. So we're going to spend 1 fish there, and then we're going to spend both of these to turn into another fish. And that is that done. Action finished. Over to the Automa. For his next turn, he's going to take some more eggs. So we've got 3 eggs to lay. 1, 2, 3 eggs. And then he's going to add a cube to the end of round scoring. Now over to us, we're going to take the lay egg action. So we get to lay 4 eggs. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to walk back. We could here spend a food to lay another egg, but we don't have any food, unfortunately. So we're going to do the Peregrine Falcon. When activated, we look at the top card from the deck. If the wingspan is less than 100 centimeters, we get to tuck that bird behind the card. If not, we just discard it. So we'll reveal the top card. It is 53 centimeters, less than 100. So the Peregrine Falcon takes that bird for prey. Then we go to our fish crow. We can discard an egg to get a food from the supply. I think we are going to do that. We're going to discard 1 egg because we want to get a rat to be able to play this barn owl. We'll take a rat. Nothing there. We're going to do a hummingbird. We get to gain a die from the bird feeder. We don't want these. We ideally want another rat. So we're going to re-roll them because they all show the same face. Re-roll. And there's our rat. Oh, just take that out there and we get a rat token. Then we're going to go here, tuck a bird from our hand. We may as well because we're not going to use any of these birds. We'll tuck one for a point there, and it also gives us a berry. And that's the end of that. Over to the Automa. They want a bird for their bonus card. So someone that only can live in the forest. There are none, so they're going to take again another face down card. And back to us for our final action. We're going to play a bird. And we're going to play the barn owl into here. Costs 2 rats and no eggs. And that is our game finished. So let's go over to the Automa for his final turn. And they want food, which is not going to have any effect on the game now. They want rats. There are no rats. Then fish. No fish. Then berries. Remove the berries. And we get to activate our pink ability. The only one is that we get to gain a die from the bird feeder. So why not just take one of these? Just for the action's sake, but it's not going to affect the game at all. Okay, that's the end of the game. Let's finish up by assessing this final end of round goal. So we want birds in the grasslands. They have a base of 3 plus 1 for 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we win that one. First place there. Then you get second place. We've done pretty well on the end of round goals there. So hopefully scoring will go well for us. So let's go over to scoring. Okay, so we've got a little score pad here that we're going to use to keep track. So let's write down Chilling in there and Automa in there. Okay, so the first thing we score are our birds. The point value of all of our birds. So we've got 5, 8, 12, 17, 23, 28, 34, 39, 43, 46, 47 points for our birds. The Automa, we're just going to use this section to score their face down birds. So they get 4 points for every face down bird. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 birds at 4 points each. That's 44 points. Slightly behind us. Then we score on our bonus cards. So our bonus cards, we have the Prairie Manager, which was birds that can only live in the grasslands. We only have 1 bird that can only live in grasslands. That's not enough to score. We need at least 2 birds. So that's going to score us 0. Then we've got the large bird specialist. So birds with wingspans of 65 centimeters or over 65 centimeters, sorry. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 altogether. 6 plus birds gets us 6 points. So we're scoring 6 points from our bonus card. And they wanted birds that can only live in forests. They only managed to collect one of those. That's going to score them 3 points. And that's that. And we're going to end of round goals. So I'm going to score 4 points for that one, plus 5 for 9, plus 6, giving me 15, plus another 7 for 22 points for end of round goals. The Otoma is going to score 1, plus 2 for 3, plus 6 is 9, plus 4 is 13 points for them. Then we're going to score our eggs. The Otoma has 5, 10, 15 eggs, so they get 15 points for their eggs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 eggs for 12 points. Then we get to score food on the cards. I have cashed 3 fish on this card for another 3 points. And then tucked cards. So let's get rid of all these resources. We don't need them anymore. And who's had Tusker? We got tuck card there. No one else has got tuck cards on there. No, not tuck cards. So the Finch has got a load of tuck cards. All of these will score. And then the Waxwing has one under there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that were tucked for 7 points. So let's total this up. We are 47, 57, 60, 75 points for the Otoma. And for me, 47, 53, 73, 75, 85, 87, 90, 97 points. So there we go. That's the end of Wingspan. Won fairly comfortably in the end. Probably could have upped the challenge to hard mode if I had. That's it. There would have been 5 points per card, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 extra points essentially. Putting them on 86, which still wouldn't have been enough to win, but hey, that's it. That's the solo mode of Wingspan. Very enjoyable. Wingspan is a very fun game. Really good engine builder. You get to trigger lots of combos and do lots of cool things when you have the right birds out on your board. Yeah, really fun game. And the Otoma works pretty well. It's easy to manage. The actions are fairly simple. Yeah, it's really good. Really easy to work. I hope you enjoy watching the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.